Hi guys, my name is Tatiana, lifeinglow Wellness, and in this video I want to share with you my thoughts on what wellness related professions I think would be popular in the next 5-10 years. This is a personal opinion and you don't have to agree with it. However, do put in the comments what professions you think might be popular, and that way we can brainstorm together and maybe some people will get ideas of where to develop if they are choosing between different options. Alright, so let's go to the list, and the first one is general practitioner with a holistic approach. I think there is a lack of such type of people because many people already kind of got disappointed in the traditional approach to medicine. With all respect though, I definitely respect doctors and general practitioners. However, in many cases you're not really getting much help. You just said that this will pass, or I don't have any cure for that. And because there are so many different type of illnesses, such a practitioner I would expect to have traditional education plus some kind of extra thing. For example, it could be homeopathy or aromatherapy or crystal healing, and ideally they would know a few of those approaches and they would recommend a person whatever is best for them. So that's just my desire to have someone like that. I think that would be really great. Now, the order is just how I came up with those ideas. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. I think they all could be beneficial to some extent. And the second on the list comes health coach. So a health coach is someone who not just advises you something, but they actually help you to get to that point when you use that and when you improve your health. So research more on what health coaches offer in your area, and perhaps you can find someone and benefit from their services. Or maybe you even yourself want to learn that field. Now, as in any age, fitness and beauty has always been popular, and I would want to see lots of fitness coaches and beauty coaches. And again, like here, it's not just specifically someone who helps you to get in a better shape, but more of a holistic approach, so that they also help you to understand how different types of your life tell on your health. I would want to see someone like that to have knowledge in a few different areas, for example, not just muscles, but some kind of emotional background as well. And so, for example, they could approach beauty from different perspectives, so whether it's what you eat or how you tone your body, what you do in terms of exercising and body work, and also maybe some kind of holistic approach. Or they might be collaborating with like a psychotherapist and referring their people to other colleagues in case that's needed. That's just what I would like to see more. Kind of related to what I already mentioned in the beginning, and that's health, beauty and youth consultant, but with a specific auteur method. You tried something on yourself and you realize, oh my gosh, it's working very well, and you want to share it with others. I do believe that there could be more methods created, and so hopefully we'll see that in the future. Number 4 is nutrition and diet coach, or in some cases a trainer, maybe instructor, if you have a course on that. So that's something which is needed as well in any time, I think. And theories on diets change, and we all know that all of a sudden, coffee became better than it used to be known. There are theories on sugar and other products. So it's really important to either educate yourself on that or to find a specialist and consult them on that, because often nutrition could be a reason for some kind of dysfunctions in the body. Number 5 is a school psychologist, or maybe a university psychologist as well. So someone who works in the education system, but they're providing psychological services. Already in Canada, as far as I know, it exists quite widely. In Russia, where I come from, it's not as popular. I wish there were specialists like that. That would be really great. And as far as I know, it's free of charge for kids. Well, at least it's free of charge in some schools. Well, in Eastern Europe, it's not everywhere yet, but in Canada, it's pretty common to have something like that. On the same note, maybe there could be someone also who holds trainings for both kids and students, older students. I think that would be great to have. Number 6 on my list is a medical or wellness writer, copywriter. So behind anything you read, there's always someone who writes that copy or writes that book, the article, and so on. If you read a landing page, also there is someone who is writing it. Of course, you can learn as a practitioner how to write it, but often people hire more professional, qualified people for that, who help them to create these materials, and these are called copywriters or writers. I think there is a demand on more educated people like that, so that you're not just someone who, comes and puts things together from other people's articles or from the books, but also you do know the subject, so you can process that on a more advanced level. This is a great profession as well if you want to travel the world. I mean, who wouldn't want to travel the world, right? And if you find clients, enough clients for that, and maybe even write your own vlog or blog, so that could be a profession for you. I do believe that it will be popular. Now, number 7 is kind of related to that. I just decided to put it as a separate profession. It's specifically someone who works with YouTubers, whether for your own channel or for other people's channel. And so you write these materials, wellness and medical writing, for scripts for channels, whether it's YouTube or any other, Vimeo or whatever, where people offer this kind of services, or maybe even for courses. You help someone to create a course. Speaking about courses, number 8 on my list is wellness course curator. Yes, there are creators as well, but also they hire curators who help them to curate the courses so that people get attention, so that homework is checked and all sorts of questions. There are different types of also tech curators, but that's another story. It's still in the same field. So let's say if you have any specific skill which you can offer, maybe you'll find someone to collaborate with. And by the way, guys, if you're interested in my services or some kind of collaborations, feel free to find me on Instagram or write through my website. I'd be happy to consider any collaboration if it's within what I can do. Continuing with the topic of courses, number 9 is marketer for wellness coaches, for wellness courses, any health-related courses. Because there's so many people who create something like that, and trainings, programs, marathons, and so on, there's always a need for those who can market them properly. And yes, in a way, there are transferable skills. If you work with some other types of courses, you can already know what to do for this one. But I believe that there could be a niche for specifically those who specialize on this type of courses and marketing. Number 10 on my list is something a bit more traditional, and it's a therapist, psychotherapist, or mental health counselor. So this is something which we have a lot nowadays, and like people talk a lot about mental health nowadays. Emotional health is really important as well. And so what I think is that this is kind of one of those professions which probably will not be outdated for a while. And within that, you have to have certain credentials. It's not just you took one course and you can practice that. Usually it takes a few years to learn that. And if you move to a different country, you might have to start from scratch. So before you commit to this profession, I would highly recommend you to research more on that, and perhaps it might be a good choice for you or might not be. Just do your research. Number 11 on the list is a surgeon, and I think that especially surgeons specializing in specific things, like very narrow niche, might be in request, because I guess it might be easier to grow and develop in one niche rather than a lot of many different niches. And so perhaps there will be private practices for surgeries as well. Of course, guys, disclaimer that no one knows what will be in 10-20 years, but I think in the next 10 years I don't see things changing really drastically in terms of demand for surgeons. And of course it's good to also Google and search, research whether where you want to move or where you live, this profession is really requested, because it depends on the amount of clinics, right? And so on. Number 12 is a nurse, and especially someone who works with elderly people, because I think life duration will be longer in the future, and that's because people are paying more attention to how they work, what they do, how happy they stay, and there will be more and more educational material on that. And so there is a chance, I think, that we all will live longer because people will do more therapy to work with psychosomatic reasons. They will probably heal faster because they work with their energy and things like that. So I hope that we all will live much longer. Anyway, so nurses always are in demand, and in Canada I live, it's one of the most popular professions, and I think it's a good occupation to have. Number 13 is health insurance consultant, and also consultant for liability insurance for wellness practices. So this is something, again, like quite niche, but at the same time I believe that there is always in demand for that. How successful you can be, of course, no one can tell, but it's something to look into as well. Number 14 on my list is a crisis manager, or some kind of coach, consultant who helps to get out of crisis and improve your life, not to fall apart completely if something doesn't work the way you thought it could work. And that could be both for personal transformation, and for businesses. And I would assume that it could be two different niches, because it requires different knowledge, whether you work with a big company or one person, it's different. And also I think that it can differ from a country to country because mentality is different. So I guess if you move somewhere, you might have to, add some kind of skills to understand the local culture as well. So I would assume that it could be a popular profession in demand. Number 15 is researcher for sustainability and plastic solution and things like that, because there's so much plastics, and the sustainability crisis, is really in focus right now. And we do need more people who both educate others on these questions, and they also research, what can be done and how all of us can do that. Fortunately, there are more and more vloggers as well who talk about this, so this is also something to consider. Number 16 on my list is eco packaging developer or engineer, whatever it's called. So I don't think there could be a lot of specialists like that, but the world would definitely benefit with more ideas to some extent if they're valid and useful ideas, because we're in a situation right now when kind of we all need to brainstorm how to improve things quite fast, because there's not as much time as we thought maybe 10 years ago. What is happening to the environment and planet is really serious, and each of us needs to do some contribution, in my opinion. And fortunately, there are also many vloggers, and in a way that could be a profession as well. I don't think actually I didn't include it on the list. We'll get to that. Number 17 is a recycling manager. That's someone who monitors, I might be wrong in the names of professions, but that's what I assume is, for example, for some company or city, you would monitor the process of recycling and also do some kind of research, what fits your goals and your needs, the companies, and so to contribute to the overall recycling and environment health. Number 18 is something really interesting. It's essentialism and minimalism coach, or maybe instructor if you are teaching a course, training on that. You help people to learn more about that. That's what educators do. And at the same time, if you're a coach, you would really help them to implement what they've learned to life. Because lots of people nowadays are suffering from excessive things, trying to figure out how to organize their life more efficiently. And definitely someone who specializes in that might be as well in a good niche, because that's just something where I see the world going more. In a way, it's a benefit, I think, if you either have psychological background and even therapy background to some extent, or you collaborate with a therapist who you can direct people if they need that. And there's nothing to be ashamed about it if you need some help, because the goal is to get you there, and if that's what helps you, that's great. Number 19 is sustainability coach. So I think I already mentioned it, but anyways, guys, it's okay if I do double, it's fine. It's good to repeat it one more time. But basically, it's someone who helps you to live sustainably, someone who helps you to get the habits which you want to have to live more sustainably. And fortunately, we have lots of wellness vloggers and where you can learn on that, but also maybe you might need some individual approach for that. So perhaps once in a while you can consult on this type of specialist. It could be also an educator going to schools or universities, or maybe some kind of work environment to teach people on what can be done to live more sustainably. Number 20, I think there might be a demand for consumerism therapists, if I can call it this way. I don't know if something like that exists or not. Usually therapists work with lots of different requests, and one of them could be something like that. But maybe you would choose a niche of that. So you help people to learn how to spend less, to be okay with living with less things and to be more content in general without depending on physical things, so to speak. Lots of people in World War II and also some events related to the last 20 years, they lost their home, more or less their belongings or something like that. Or maybe something happened to you and someone deprived you of that. So this is a different side from consumerism, but still it's related to being able to move on in your life without having all these things which you think or thought you need. And it's just there's so many layers to that, and I think there's a need for people who would help to go through that specifically, who can help to heal those traumatic experiences and help people to start a new life and be healthy. Number 21 on my list is mindset coach. That's kind of like a catchphrase nowadays, but actually it's something important. So basically someone who helps you to be in a positive mindset and believe that things can be transformed, that you have the power and the will, to change some things in your life. And maybe also at the same time someone who helps you to be grounded and not just think that you can achieve anything. Yes, maybe some people can do that, but it's not like I can do anything I want. There are certain limitations, but I can be okay with them, right? Mindset coach can help you also at least not to stumble over your own blocks and your own resistance to something when you actually want to achieve it, but something in you just doesn't let you do that. Therapy experience again here could be beneficial. However, coaching is a great method as well. Number 22 on my list is retreat organizer. It's something which is, kind of sounds quite bohemian in some way. And I think retreat style, I personally like it a lot. So that's a fun profession. I think it can be very fulfilling. However, it's very demanding as well because, to be able to lead groups and prepare some kind of environment to help people transform so fast within like 3 or maybe 10 days. Usually retreats are 7-8 days. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer. There will be a demand for that as soon as we start traveling a bit more. Hopefully it happens in the future, you never know. But at least you can do local retreats and help people to do that. There are even online retreat organizers. So if you're looking for something like that, feel free to browse and perhaps you'll find something for yourself. My point is that I think it's a great profession, and in a way that's one of the occupations I would like to develop in the future. Number 23 is retreat center owner. So that's a bit different because to own a center you have to either purchase that building yourself or you need to find investors who will help you to fund that project. So basically you collaborate with retreat organizers to organize retreats, or you do your own retreats if you also have education and experience in that. That could be different formats. I think it can be an interesting profession as well to have something like that. You just have to understand how you can attract the right type of clients in terms of organizers, or maybe offer some kind of Airbnb retreat style, there are different formats, but this is one of my favorite professions on this list personally. Number 24, something which I kind of already mentioned before, but I want to emphasize it again: wellness educators and bloggers. So these are people who might not necessarily have really, highly qualified experience with this, but they hopefully do the research and then they're able to communicate it well to other people. Because people who work in medical system or some kind of health related systems, they might not be necessarily great communicators and they might not even want to be in the camera, but vloggers and bloggers, they help people to to learn more about that. And hopefully if you will be the one, you will be diligent one and really double check everything you write or say, because that's really crucial that we have more reliable educators and influencers rather than just putting some information together. But I think that there could be more demand for this. I personally learned some things from people who share on YouTube some tips, and I think it's great. It's also, it helps to process information in a fun and engaging way. If people add some kind of b-roll, animation, or maybe just they themselves are so fun to watch, that it just helps to learn faster. My shout out to colleagues here who do wellness vlogs. You guys are fantastic, and it's really special, I think, that we have in our century, something like that. When I was growing up, we didn't have anything like that, and I wish we did. This video is getting a bit long, I think, but stay with me. We'll get to the end of the list. I have about 35, 36 professions. We'll see how much I'll get. Just keep watching. Number 25 is energy healer. Now, energy healing can be really different depending on the type of healing you practice. I think that there might be more and more systems coming up in the next 15, 20 years especially. And people do understand nowadays that apart from physical, emotional and mental, there is also energy, and sometimes it's faster how things can be healed through energy. Even if we take Reiki healing or some kind of whatever energy healing systems. Energy healing is something which you can do distantly or in person, or maybe even in a group, more like creating special, energy flow when the group itself amplifies the energy. So I believe that there will be a demand for that too. Number 26 is crystal healing. I myself love using crystals, and I've been using them for a few years in healing and meditation and things like that. So especially if you have a practice like somewhere to do those healing sessions, that's a great benefit. So you can start practicing that and maybe even experimenting and adding up to the research this type of wellness practice. Of course, as in many fields, there is a debate, whether crystals really help or not. I would leave it outside of this video. I think they do help, but maybe not in every case how you read in the book. You just have to give it a try, and it depends on yourself. But overall, I think it can be a great profession to learn. Just look at the crystal channels and you will see that they grow pretty fast. 27 is aura reader tech. That's something which I haven't seen a lot, but I would want to see that this type of service is a bit more accessible, and you can go to some mall maybe and take a picture of your aura. I don't know how realistic it is to see this profession in demand, but why not? I just wanted to keep it here. 28 is something which I really emotionally connect to, because I've been in a situation when I was looking for something like that. That's a psychic reader who has medical knowledge. So basically, you've already been studying medicine or some kind of healing methods, and then you also are an intuitive person and you have psychic abilities, and so you combine both. It's kind of like a crossover between different professions and knowledge fields. It's not uncommon when people are diagnosed with some disease and they are not even told what it is about and what to do. So they're kind of lost on their own, and they are trying to make a decision maybe on surgery or something like that. And I think that having more really reliable, qualified people like that who would say have a higher chance to tap into the best possible solution, that would be really beneficial for the society and community in general. I have to say on this note though, if you've ever consulted someone like this, just keep in mind that you never know what experience people have. Yes, there are reviews as well, but the reviews often are for different types of questions. So health is really something which one should take with respect and with caution to some extent. So yeah, I just wanted to put it out there. But I'm not opposed to this kind of service, for example. Number 29 on my list is a contemporary therapist, psychotherapist who practices different contemporary methods, or maybe one of those methods. For example, like me, I practice emotion image therapy, art therapy, and metaphorical cards, counseling and therapy and life coaching. And there is a really great benefit to have those tools because they are more targeted to short-term therapy as well as long-term therapy. And in that respect, it's just more beneficial when you can help someone faster rather than if the person goes for many years and there's no improvement. I believe there's something is wrong. Either they are not good tandem with the therapist, or it's just the wrong method for them. So I would like to see more and more people who are effective with these new methods, and maybe even some other methods coming up. Number 30 on my list is someone who teaches or practices neurographica as the method. Neurographic art and neurographica was created by Pavel Piskarov. He's a well-known, philosopher, architect, psychologist, and researcher from Russia. Inventor in a way, and he created this method which became really popular in ex-USSR countries and in Europe as well, and now it's becoming more known in North America. So if you are into something like that, just Google for that, then maybe it's a good profession to learn, and you can hold some workshops and teach people how to use this method for healing and for self-development. And for inspiration as well. 31 is something which is completely off topic, and that's sustainable gardening consultant. So someone who helps you to figure out how to grow, plants and crops, whatever you grow, more sustainably, and perhaps there will be demand for this type of specialist. You can be also a writer, or you can create a course on that, so there are different ways how you can practice that. Whether it's indoor plants or balcony garden or some kind of special farm. So I think that there is a demand for such profession, and perhaps it will grow in the future. Number 32 on my list is what I call dream healer or dream therapist, sleep therapist. And I don't relate here to the famous book. If you haven't read that book, that's quite a good book to some extent. But I mean that someone who works with dreams, and helping people to have better sleep. So here I see at least two different branches, I think. Someone who specializes in the psychological aspect of that. For example, you help people to understand the meaning of their dreams, what kind of message life is trying to send them, or maybe their higher self, because it's not like literal what people write in the books, what it means, but it could be something which is important for them specifically because they had a certain experience in childhood, or even perhaps in a past life, or maybe their ancestors had something and that was passed through generations. Such things also exist. Yeah, so dreams can help to decipher certain things and maybe even find a better path. So that's a great niche. Now, on the other note, a sleep therapist could help with improving sleep quality. It's not just remembering dreams and using them for life and maybe getting rid of some dreams as well, but also overall helping to have a better sleep, and there are lots of factors in that. It can depend also on your nutrition, your routines and so on. As we know, that's all connected to some extent. And guys, actually, from when a person moves somewhere to another place, your sleep patterns might change. We'll get there in one of my next points. But what I'm saying is that it's really important to have someone who can help you with that, because some people can't get fully rested just because their sleep is not of good quality for whatever reason. 33 on my list is a pet healer, and this could be someone who has education for pet therapy in general, but also someone who practices alternative healings. And that could be, Reiki, some type of air energy healing, crystal healing, maybe even aromatherapy, although aromatherapy has to be taken with caution, depending on the type of animal. As far as I know, it really depends. But essentially, it's also as with our health, for humans, people are looking how to improve health of their pets, their loved ones, with fours or just some kind of pets. So it's a great profession, I think, and it might be in demand. I hope so. Number 34 on my list is locational astrologer, which is very dear to my heart because I'm one of them. And it's a very rare profession nowadays, I think. Still, to be good at that, you need to learn many years and also practice with clients. But it's something which I hope to see developing more in the future and being in demand, because more people move somewhere, relocate, and also those who travel quite a lot. So locational astrologers can help to choose easier, more favorable places, or maybe specific places for a task, for a request which you have, like to improve work or personal life, or maybe to, just have a quiet life for a few years. So that's what we do. We just compare different places and we try to help to choose something which would not be super hard. Of course, a disclaimer here that locational astrologers are not gods, and we learn through practice and through our clients' cases. Every session is a learning experience, in my opinion. But at the same time, we still can help to, make it a bit milder, to perhaps help people to understand that maybe the place where they live is really quite complex, and there might be some benefit of them to move from there, or to understand how to use the energy of the current place to help them cope with struggles which they have. Number 35 on my list could be an astrologer in general, because we astrologers, we help people to understand how to improve certain spheres of life, and how to cope with some struggles, and maybe where to find inspiration even, or some ways to make money or fulfillment in life, and remedy different relationships and so on. So there's so many different aspects of astrology. Here I want to especially mention nutrition and health astrologers. Astrology helps to understand your character, how people relate to life, and their kind of understand their inner world better, why things happen to some extent. So especially in this category, psychological astrology, health astrology, and nutrition astrology plays a big role, I think, and then they could be professions in demand in the future, in my opinion. Right now, there are not as many great nutrition and health astrologers, and before you advise something to people, you really have to collect a lot of experience and case studies, in my opinion. So if you're really into that and you're willing to put the effort, time, and budget, then it might be a great profession for you. I do believe that with years it will be developing even more and more and will be in demand. Alright, so number 36 on my list, that's the last one. Thank you so much for staying with me. If you have any guesses what it is, just put in the comments. I look forward to reading them. Number 36 is alternative living coach. And let me explain what I mean by that. Many people live a certain lifestyle for all their life, or for the majority of their life, and they don't even see other options, other alternatives. For whatever reason, it seems to them either unacceptable or unattainable. And an alternative living coach or consultant/coach can help you to get more educated on what other options are and help you choose what's best for yourself. Let's say you are divorced and your kids already are grown up, so they don't depend on you, and you can do anything, but you're not sure that you want to go and do nomadic style, and neither you don't know whether you want to go to the forest and live on your own or stay where you are. So that type of coach maybe help you to understand what you want better and what would be a better choice for you, or maybe help you go through trying a few different lifestyles and figuring out what works for you. Let's say you want to live with family in a tiny house, and then you can hire such a practitioner who specializes on that, and they will help you to do that transition. It is related to wellness because it's a well-being, being happy with what you have, where you are, who you are. Like this video, guys, subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate all this engagement, and I look forward to read your comments. If you think I missed some professions, of course, feel free to mention them. We will learn from each other, and I'll see you soon in another video. Stay well.